Hello everyone, I am Shantanu Anish Habbar and I'll be reviewing a book called A Flight of Pigeons. The author is Ruskin Bond and he was born on 19th May 1934 in Mussoorie, a small town in the Himalayan ranges of India. He's a prolific children's literature writer and received the Sahitya Academy Award in 1992. For those who are not aware of this, Sahitya Academy Award is an award that is given to famous personalities who contributed towards arts, which includes music, writing books, dances, and etc. In 2014, he was awarded the Padma Bhushan, and his famous works are The Room on the Roof, Rusty the Boy from the Hills, Once Upon a Monsoon Time. Ruskin Bond is a very famous author, and for every Indian child, he was given at least one Ruskin Bond by his parents to develop a reading habit. While Ruskin Bond's novels are usually short, his short stories are more famous as they're very attractive and very easy for children to read. And meanwhile, they have some social theme in them which enables children to know what's going on in the real world. The setting of this book is in Shahjahanpur, a North Indian town, and the protagonists are an Anglo-Indian family who go by the name of Labadurs. So there's this father, his wife Mariam, and their two children Ruth and Annette. Their household also consists of two spaniels. Labadurs is a cross-cultural marriage where the father, well, his name is not mentioned, is supposedly a British man who's a clerk in some office, and meanwhile Mariam is a Christian of Muslim origin. So in the beginning of the novel itself there's a cross-cultural tie introduced, which is very good, and the times of this novel is during the period of 1857. So 1857 is the year in which the first war of independence took place. It's also known as Revolt of 1857. In this, the sepoys or the soldiers, the Indian soldiers in the British army revolted against British rule and wanted an Indian government to be in place. This revolt posed a threat to British rule, and there were widespread warlike situation in places. Thousands of people were killed on both sides, and civilians were also not spared. Uh, the core points of this revolt was Delhi and Lucknow, which were severely damaged due to heavy bombing, cannon fight, and pillaging and looting and going on. Uh, in short, this revolt led to the dissolution of East India Company, which had conquered India. And after the revolt of 1857, it was the beginning of Queen Victoria's rule, who became the Queen of British East India. The story starts with Ruth and her father going to church on a Sunday morning, where the soldiers of the city, Shahjahanpur, revolt and start killing British people indiscriminately. They do not check whether, they do not see whether it's a man or a woman or a child. They just go on killing. So in the church, the father is killed, and Ruth runs back to the house and sees that her family has been in hiding. They stay in hiding in their house for a few hours, and Lala Ramji Lal. So Lala Ramji Lal is the house servant, and he comes and takes them away, and they stay in his house for quite a few days. Uh, Suddenly, Javed Khan comes in as a surprise. He's supposedly the town goon and has links to the local Nawab. He comes into their house, bangs their door, and takes away Ruth and her mother, and also Annette with him. And he takes them to their house, and they stay at his house for quite a few days. Meanwhile, there are Javed Khan's relatives coming in and taking them to their house for a few days because of Javed's something. I'll be telling you later of what it was. They stay in their house, have a okayish time. Not very happy and not very sad. After all, the mother has become a widow and the daughter is left fatherless. So they just have a normal time. And finally, the battle for Delhi commences in the revolt of 1857. And when the battle ends, it is found that the British have won and regained control over Delhi and all its surrounding areas. And finally, Mariam, Annette, and Ruth and the rest of the family are reunited with their relatives. Uh, when they stay at Javed's Khan house, they get to know that Javed has infatuation with Ruth. Now, Ruth is a small girl, and Javed Khan is a man who's already married. Uh, he tells Mariam that Mariam is Ruth's mother. He tells her that he wants to marry Ruth in due time. And Mariam is baffled. I mean, he's just a man, and the girl is small, and there's marriage coming in. So, Mariam tries to make him understand that she's a child and a man cannot marry a child. So in the end, he does not. He doesn't understand. So Mariam tries her final card. She lays the card that if the British win and regain control, he cannot marry her, and if the British East India Company government doesn't regain control and the Indian government is put into place, there's nothing she can do, and hence Javed Khan will be free to marry Ruth. Meanwhile, there's Javed Khan's wife who's very protective over her husband and doesn't want another wife. Well, in Muslim communities, it is possible for the man to have more than one wife, one or two, so she doesn't want another woman into their life, and she tries her best to make Javed understand that Javed cannot marry her. And meanwhile, in the background, there are the Nawab's policies, who's pro-India, the pro-Indian government, and he says that all British people, all the Firangis, that's the term he uses for all the whites in the place, should be killed. Because of Javed Khan's contacts with the Nawab, Ruth and her family are spared. Javed Khan is the Nawab's associate and has been serving him for quite a long time. As soon as the revolt of 1857 commences, he proceeds to loot many places, and there's this one instance where he loots a sugar cart. So in the end, we get to know that this was because of the Eid that was upcoming and he wanted to make sweets. And he kidnaps Ruth and his family and tries to marry her, which is not possible as the British win. And in the end, when it's known that the British have won, he escapes to Nepal on a cart. Now, Kotiwali. Kotiwali is Javed's aunt and is a very sweet lady. She's kind and helpful. When she gets to know that Javed intends to marry Ruth, she tries to make him understand that this is not the right course of path. And since Javed is very angry and doesn't listen to her, she takes them to her house, Ruth, Annette, and Mariam. At Kotiwali's house, they have a fairly good time where Kotiwali respects them and trusts them and has patience. She knows that what they're going through. After all, Mariam lost her husband and all the things, the turmoil that's going on in the country. So this is how Kotiwali plays an important role in the novel. In the end, freedom is achieved for the Labadurs. The British storm the Red Fort in Delhi and regain control, and troops start moving towards Shahjahanpur. At the same time, Mariam receives a letter from her brother saying that he'll be coming to pick her up and help her to safety. Since the British have won, the people, the Javed's family, they get scared and plan an escape. Having no option, the Labadurs are forced to go with them, and in the end, a doctor's family tells them that even they are escaping from the British and they would gladly help them. So, with the help of the doctor's family, Ruth and her family escape, and in the end, they go towards Bharatpur, which is the city where Mariam's brother stays, and there they are reunited, and this ends an ordeal that started off with many British and all their acquaintances being killed, and right now being reunited and having a place to stay in. The main theme of this book I found was religious harmony. It starts with Mariam and her husband. Now, Mariam is a Muslim origin Christian lady, and The husband is a British person. So this shows how two religion, two religious people can stay together in harmony. And in subsequent chapters, we see Lala Ramji Lal and Javed Khan both harboring the British people in their house to save them from death. This shows Lala Ramji Lal is a Hindu person and Javed Khan is a Muslim. So this shows how in India where communal harmony pertains. So this is how it goes, and everyone can live together in peace. We see that peace is maintained in the area even though British were killed. After the Nawab comes into power, he makes sure that no further deaths and all are occurring and make sure that everyone lives in peaceful. Even later, we find that mutual respect is there in the city, and we see that though war and all are going on, the common people do not want to take part in this, though the soldiers and all want to take part. Well, this is it for you. Thank you.